there, and welcome to Doctor Who Radio Show. That's the way it goes tonight, and this is
Dr. Freedom. How's it going this morning?
brilliant. How's it going in the good old USA?
Not too bad at all.
Now, Dr. Freedom, who has his own channel, one of the real Whovians and also the Who Harmony podcasts, has an exclusive in relation to this, not the 50th anniversary story title, but the final story that leads into it.
Yeah, we just found out a few minutes ago the title for the Series 7 finale, and it's a bombshell. The Name of the Doctor.
Yes, but what's the title?
That's the title. The Name of the Doctor.
Oh, I see. So the name of the title is actually the name of the Doctor.
Exactly. Pretty interesting because, are they actually going to go so far as to reveal it?
Wait, to say it's a poster, isn't it? Just like the Shining type thing, isn't it?
Exactly, but as I've been telling people, I don't think we're actually going to find out what it is.
Do you think it's possible that they might actually be trying to do something as earth-shattering as the original regeneration from William Hartnell to Patrick Troughton? And what would be more earth-shattering than revealing something that's never been revealed?
Well, that depends on what school of thought you're from. You see, a long time ago in an episode called, it was the 6th episode of the Key to Time series. You had a figure named Drax who addressed the Doctor as being Theta Sigma.
Yeah, which is mentioned in the Happiness Patrol, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. It was that was the Armageddon Factor. That's right. Now in the Happiness Patrol, I think they tried to play it off as being a college nickname, but if you look at the episode where River Song leaves the message on the cliffside in series, I believe it was where he took Amy Pond. Oh, that's right. It was the Pandorica Opens, I believe.
Yes.
Right there at the beginning of that message are the Greek letters Theta and Greek letters Sigma at the beginning of the message. So.
Yeah. Well, Doctor has always sort of tried to hide his real identity, hasn't he? Not in a sneaky way. And sorry for interrupting, but it seems you have the Doctor recently sort of wanting to go back into the shadows because it's drawn a little bit too much attention to him. It's made him basically a target, from the silence, etc. And you had the memory, apparently, of the Daleks, of the Doctor at all, being sort of reset to the days when they didn't know him at all. But we don't actually know how he first encountered the Daleks, because he seems to be almost aware, to some extent, at the very start of the series, doesn't he?
Also, we've gotten some very, very scary clues about the Doctor's true identity over the years, and it makes you wonder just what they're leaning towards. Is it, why is he hiding his name because it's linked to something terrible? If you remember all the way back as far as Silver Nemesis, we had the lady there telling him that I'll tell them the truth about your name, about the time of chaos.
The dark times.
Exactly.
And Sylvester McCoy's Doctor, the 7th Doctor, said, go and tell her, and that's how he defeats the Cybermen, because they say we're not concerned who he is, etc.
Also, we had another clue recently in the Fires of Pompeii.
Blimey, you're good. Sort them out.
Yeah, where the young seer tells him that his name is burned in the sky in the Cascade of Medusa. And so a lot of interesting and sinister clues, about, his identity and what he really was. And names in mythology of different cultures are different, of course. Even Satan has different names in different cultures. The Daleks refer to the Doctor as the Uncommon Storm. Eventually, at some point in their timeline, the mention of the Doctor just simply even
literally just mentioning the Doctor, not him actually being there, would instill fear into creatures that apparently are supposed to be totally emotionless. So presumably, and then there's this idea about possibly the Doctor Longbarrow. I think I just described now and mentioned it once, and many others have. It's a story originally that was supposed to be earmarked for the Sylvester McCoy era, and that was supposed to reveal all about his weird family, like his crazy uncle and all sorts, and he was supposed to be called the Other. He's supposed to be a reincarnation of a being called the Other, unless of course the Doctor's been playing a very clever game in a timey-wimey type way, which a time traveller who's been travelling for God knows how many centuries, unless of course everything we know about the Doctor is one big lie completely, the Doctor always lies. So for all we know, every single name we have and every single bit of information is just one big sort of ploy to, like in Agatha Christie novels, sort of put people off the scent. And there's one more possibility that we haven't even considered.
Yeah?
Does the Doctor actually know his own name and identity?
Well, also, I think what it is even when Girl in the Fireplace, she indicated that it was something more than just a name. That, it seems like they're strongly hitting it at something that he's ashamed of. And also, as we saw, if the original series had continued on into series 26, we were also going to find out that the Doctor was one of the 3 Time Lords who founded Time Lord Society. And also, from what we were learning in Remembrance of the Daleks, he had obviously had a hand in building a replica of the Hand of Omega.
Yes, he mentioned that in Remembrance, didn't he? We have trouble with the prototype and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, so there's been clues all throughout the entire saga, you can call it, going all the way just about back to the beginning as to what his true identity is. And it's just really frightening, especially with the spin Moffat been putting on it, that it's definitely going to be something sinister.
Yeah, so we've had Rassilon reintroduced, which wasn't actually Moffat's idea. That was Russell T Davies, really, wasn't it? But I'm presuming, just like you, that Moffat will be, this is the 50th anniversary year, so he's going to be taking elements from what was the most darkest interpretation of a Doctor, but the original 60s series. I mean, you had a Doctor who, just like now, is mysterious, almost, unearthly child. He's actually completely untrusting of human beings, isn't he? He doesn't want to get involved at all. Another aspect of somebody who either has something to hide or doesn't want to draw attention to him. And yes, it was written years and years, but bizarrely it sort of makes perfect sense in the current series, doesn't it, really?
See, another thing that, speaking of that, going all the way back to the beginning, I don't know where this notion came from that the Doctor is this non-violent chap who, just goes along and does things peacefully. Because all the way back in the very second episode of the original series, I believe it was the Cave of Skulls, they were carrying a caveman back to the TARDIS, and he was injured. And you see a scene where William Hartnell, as the Doctor, turns around, picks up a rock.
Yeah. Oh, yes, of course. Yeah. The famous scene where, completely different from any of the Doctors earlier, or even William Hartnell's latest stories, he's not been remotely the hero. He's actually acting in a very human type manner. He's basically in a nutshell, he wants to conk the guy because he considers this caveman, a threat. Sorry, you go on.
No, he was going to kill him just for the fact that he was slowing them down. And that's what's amazing to me, is how he's developed over the years. And there's so many other examples throughout the entire series that, people just overlook. Like in Day of the Daleks, we had, John Pertwee as the Doctor vaporizing an Ogron because he just happened to be coming towards it.
Oh, that's an excellent story, though, isn't it? Absolutely brilliant.
And then also we had, I believe, in the Seeds of Doom, where the Doctor snapped a man's neck. And I can go on and on. Matter of fact, I just recently rewatched The Two Doctors, and the Doctor kills the Androcom, Shakai, with cyanide.
Oh, yeah. Oh, blimey. The Two Doctors, yeah. So,
yes.
So, there's a good explanation, really, though. Before, well, there's been some Big Finish audios, and I have to admit I haven't listened to all of them, which are set before an Unearthly Child episode, where they're still, in London, but they're sort of keeping, well, it makes perfect sense. They're aliens. If they got discovered, the Doctor gets discovered by any hospital having two hearts, that's going to be one hell of a big, commotion. Which is why in the Doctor Who TV movie of Paul McGann, they actually burned the actual, negatives and stuff. Before Unearthly Child, he would have had a Time Lord mentality to the human race, but apparently he's aware of the human race, so he's not entirely anti-human race, but he is wary. He sees them as primitive, doesn't he? And then after he encounters Ian Chesterton and Barbara Wright and all their companions later on through all the eras, he becomes more human. And then you have the TV movie where he suggests that part of his heritage is actually half Time Lord, half human. His father was a Time Lord, laying in the fields of Gallifrey looking up at the sky, and his mother gave him the mercy and sort of intellect to sort of have compassion, etc.
Exactly, and that's one of the big controversial things that I don't know why fans have such a problem with is the fact that he was identified as being half human, because to me it explains a lot. It explains why he decided to use Earth as the hiding place for the Hand of Omega. It explains why out of any place in the cosmos that's where he took his granddaughter to be raised. It also explains his deep feeling for the planet Earth. And also it explains why he has so much difficulty with regeneration.
So the name of the Doctor is the official final episode before the 50th anniversary. Matrix Lord 212 and many others, but mainly Matrix, has pointed out that it's going to lead directly into the 50th anniversary story, which makes perfect sense. You have one big revelation, and then you have perhaps an entire story that delves into, in some way, all the history of the Doctors, and also the TV series, of course, of what we've seen for the last 50 years. Oh, well, not me, because I haven't been live for 50 years, but some people have watched it from the start. So, how do you think Freedom it might link in to, as Matrix said, the Lords of Time, which is apparently what it's going to be called? And unfortunately, it would seem that Dr. Freedom has been taken out of time. He's been recruited by the Fantastic Four to defeat his long lost brother, Doctor Doom. Now, you may think this is just me making up an excuse for the fact that Skype has broken down during this recording and is now making lots of farting sounds. I didn't have a Vindaloo before, but that's what he's doing. Right this minute he's bashing Jar Jar Binks into the pavement, which is a good thing for us all. But let's continue. Issue 460 of Doctor Who magazine has Matt Smith, and behind him many of the previous 10 Doctors, well, not many, but all of them, with the tagline, "Who is the Doctor?" After 50 years, has his greatest secret finally been discovered? Doctor Who magazine heads to Tesalor to find out the name of the Doctor. So the question basically I was asking him was whether this will link into the 50th anniversary story, and I think let's face it probably will. I mean, a big revelation like the Doctor's name can't possibly not have a revelation, he said, nearly not actually saying the word properly, on the 50th anniversary. Because really this is giving an answer to a big question, which leads to a exploration of Doctor Who full stop, from the very beginning in 1963 to 2013, 50 years later. And we know a little bit about the 50th anniversary. David Tennant will be returning. Not necessarily sure about what Billy Piper's contribution is. We know as Zygon and some church people will be in it. Maybe past doctors from 1 or 2. I mean literally 1 or 2, number 1 and 2. But I'm not entirely sure what the rest of it is. It's all been pictures. So we've been given tidbits, but it's all very sort of well controlled. We've been whetted in an appetite whetting type way, but we haven't actually been revealed the entire thing, which is precisely the whole point. Do we want it all revealed? No. I think it should be rather interesting. I think the answer to the Doctor's name is probably going to be either the best revelation since the regeneration, or the reveal of the name of the Time Lords and their planet, Gallifrey. I think I speak for many Doctor Who fans that the name of the Doctor will either be the best revelation since the reveal of the Doctor regenerating into Patrick Troughton, or the name of Gallifrey in The Time Warrior, or it will be quite simply like a I'm half human on my mother's side in the Doctor Who TV movie. But either way, the question is, will Steven Moffat have the writing balls and producer balls to actually do it? And that's the big question. Well, it also is the answer to the question that should never be named, hidden in plain sight, Doctor Who. But is that really at the end of the day the answer to Doctor Who itself and the Doctor himself? Is that merely the question of the Doctor's name merely just another ploy to sort of hoodwink people and send them in a totally different direction? After all, this is the Doctor. He has a gallery, an entire universe of universes and realities of enemies wanting his blood to destroy him, who fear him. Daleks, Soltarian, Ice Warriors, renegade Time Lords, Hemovores, the Toy Maker, even mad, insane dictator trying to rule the human race with nefarious plans. But the question is not what its name will be, but are you willing to be prepared to hear it? Are you willing to watch the greatest moment in Doctor Who since the very first regeneration? Or are you willing to be disappointed by what is nothing more than a red herring? And even more so, are we completely reading this totally wrong? Doctor Who? Who knows? We may find out. And that's the way it goes, 09. And thank you to Dr. Freedom for joining me. Until next time, a review of Hyde, which ironically enough is what some Doctor Who fans might do if they hear the name of the Doctor.